Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow. In today's episode, we're going to get back into a new decade. Okay, so I already did the top 30 OAVAs, TV shows, and movies for the 1980s. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the 1990s. Okay, so I'll start from 1990 and work all the way up to 1999 and go through each and all these significant titles from every single year and then build a big top 30 countdown. So again, this is going to take me a while. It took me almost 14 episodes to do it for 1980, and this one probably will be a lot longer because there's now the new generation. Like my generation, started in the 80s, and of course we had to suffer through a lot of things. Like no translations and very hard distribution, with the VHS tapes and all that stuff. But now, in the 1990s, the anime companies started kicking in. So now there's basically a source that a lot of people can get certain types of animes and that kind of stuff. Big boom in the new OAVAs and animes and movies that sort of came out. So a lot more titles we can deal with. So, it's going to be a little bit harder than the 80s just because of the sheer volume. But again, we'll go through it all and it'll make this list of the top 30 titles for you. Okay, so before we begin, I want to remind everyone to go down below and click like and click subscribe. We know that any sort of comment that you can make will help the YouTube algorithm promote it and make it available to more people. All right, so anything that you do will be great. That's a I don't ask for much, but again, if you could at least do that, then it will definitely help the YouTube algorithm. Thank you. And for those who like to support me financially, I do also have the super thanks button down below, as well as the links for the PayPal and the Patreon. Now, I've been building a lot to the Patreon recently. I've now put a lot of resources available to you people, as well as a lot of the content that is for the subscribers that I cannot put on YouTube because there's now a lot of topics that I'm now covering which are not allowed to be put on the YouTube. So all those things are now available to the members there. As well as I've also now put the my audiobooks available as in audio form and on video form as well. Those are also partially free to the Patreon members, so do check that out. Okay, and so for all the other new users that are on this channel, I've also compiled all the episodes of the History of Fan Anime into a large database sheet. And if you like to basically look at different episodes that are pertaining to certain topics, like maybe CDs or maybe art books or maybe the fan culture itself, like conventions and that kind of stuff, they're all put together in a book-like fashion and they're put into the spreadsheet. Again, the link is below, as well as other resources like the database sheets for the MyAnimeList of the 1980s, and of course the top 30 animes of the 1980s is also all available in spreadsheet form there. Link is below. I also want to mention that I've done some revamping recently of my own website. I've used AI to basically help rewrite and update and make the website easy for me to put the changes to it now. So I've done half the upgrades and that kind of stuff there. So I've started to put that up. One of the most important sections, or the newest sections that I've wanted to always revamp, was the old FAQ section. Back in the days of things like the GameFAQs.com and whatnot. They used to post up how to work at certain games and how to do different progress in different games. So again, I've had done that and put up some of the things that I've done and whatnot for that. So I've done the things that when I was doing playing Ascension, Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, playing Greaser, and Pokemon Go, all that stuff I've also put on there. I've also put all the various different tips and sort of DIY stuff for things. When I went to basically build my own drum stand, how to do mods to the Alexi's drum set, bar and that kind of stuff. I also have done things like when I bought my Korg guitar, how to do maintenance and different modifications of that. So again, if you want to have a quick look at that and see all the various different little things and more, basically know more about me, do check it out. I will do more updates and that kind of stuff as I'm going to try to transport the database and that kind of stuff of all all the episodes and onto this website as soon as I can figure out how to actually get the code for that. So again, do take some time to check that out. Okay, so the year is 1993, and we're beginning with the winter session. Now, 1993 is also a really big year for us because the fact that not only do we get lots of movies and OVAs and that kind of stuff as the anime market is really increasing and really picking up, but over here in North America, things are starting to change. We are now starting getting actual commercial companies starting to come up. LA Hero, US Renditions, San Diego, Viz Video, US Manga, and all that kind of stuff are all just starting to put their releases onto the US market this year. So a lot of eyes are now starting getting turned and realizing, hey, there is this Japanese animation. Now, granted, some of the stuff that they're releasing is, over 7 years old, okay, but they're actually getting there, right? Meanwhile, of course, Arctic Animation's already fan subbed a whole bunch of different series already, right? We've done Orange Road, we've done Maison Lukaku, we've done Pat Labor, and just so many of those type of series. We've already got the subtitles. We've probably got more subtitles out there in the fan market than like literally any other fan club right now. It's just the fact that we've actually finished like 3 whole complete TV series, right? And again, we're going to continue that reign, right? So, looking at the first title here, we got Irresponsible Captain Tyler. We also did the fan subs for this one right away. Daisuke had a really kind of an inclination for how Tyler, was, the character type that he was, right? Kind of a casual, no problem, seems to be too big sort of person. I know a couple of, some of the volunteers and that kind of stuff usually come by the animation club. One of the people actually took Tyler as his email address. So and today he still actually has that email address as Captain Tyler as part of his email address. But yeah, it was a nice series, different. This show is not like the typical, oh no, the aliens have come and they're gonna take over the Earth and we have to build this giant robot or whatever thing to fight against them. Like the typical alien comes to take over the Earth type of genre, like Mospeada, Southern Cross, Macross, Dan Cougar, any of those type of shows where that sort of is the trope. This is a different way of sort of thinking about it, right? Almost Babylon 5-ish, or that kind of thing. Like, really kind of neat way to think of it. But yeah, so we did the fast of this one. Of course, it did get licensed relatively quickly, but our fan sub still remained on the market for a couple more years before they actually started. US Manga finally started releasing episodes of Captain Tyler. But yeah, it took them about 2 years before they finally started putting up out episodes of Tyler. But in the meantime, yeah, we did have fan subs of this particular series out there. Okay, the next big title on this list is also Miracle Girls. Now, this is another series that Arctic Animation did the fan subs for. Again, thanks to Daisuke. This was one of the ones that he actually read the mangas for, and again, he liked that story of the concept of the magic powers being connected between these two special girls as twins, right? So, and of course, this plays on the fact that twins seem to always have some sort of magical ability between them, whether it's ESP, that kind of stuff. So the story plays on that in different ways, right? Again, being a magical girl show goes through all various different situations and that kind of stuff, which I found really interesting. Now, Daisuke did like this series, and he enjoyed how it went until basically all of the first season, so the first 26 episodes of it. He didn't really care about the story after that first story arc, and so we stopped doing it for a bit. It was only with the help and the resources of some of the members of the animation club, namely Ed Yee. He decided to buy the laserdiscs for the entire second series of Miracle Girls, so from 27 to 48. He bought all the laserdiscs for that particular series. And then Daisuke, once he did that, then Daisuke said, okay, I'll you know, not with full sort of priority kind of stuff, because again all these other magical girl shows started popping up. But he since Ed took the financial plunge to buy the laser discs, Daisuke then said, okay, fine, I will translate it, and so again that's how we got all the rest of the episodes of Miracle Girls translated and done and then the fan subs and that kind of stuff to them, and got them right out there. Again, we were the first ones to do that, and that was also one of their first sort of next to Sailor Moon. That was this is our next sort of true series that is a magical girl show that we followed, and then for that, and then our translation stood the test of time for that in that sort of situation. And again, I said I found it a really nice series. Again, the first, I have to agree with him. The first arc, story arc. So if you are gonna follow the series and that kind of stuff, do only follow maybe like the first season, like stick with it until the first season. You'll see, how it all worked out. The second season, it turned more into that sort of kingdom thing and that kind of stuff. And so if you don't like the story arc as much, then I would understand, but at least give it a chance on the first season and see how you like that one again. So yeah, Miracle Girls was our second magical girl shows that were really worked on. Okay, and the last new TV series that's being released in this particular season is the Yusha Might Gain. So again, this is the next in this large sort of Yusha brave series of animes, right? With basically the kid and his robots. So this one is more of a like a Batman thing, right? Lots of money. We're gonna fight crime using robots. Hooray! So I mean, they're going to make another edition of this called J. Decker, which is like where the robots are actually police robots and that kind of stuff and whatnot. But hey, if you're the kind of guy that likes, Giant Gorg and, all those, kid with the robot thing, so that includes things like Transformers and, even things like Machine Robo or something like that, right? That if you're in that kind of stuff, great. This is another one of those type of series for you. Again, at the time it was released, nobody was paying attention to it. No one was doing any translations. Actually, for the most part, with the exception of maybe Gao Geiger, nobody paid attention to any of the the Yusha Brave series of mech shows. Even with with the popularity of Transformers and that kind of stuff, just people stayed away from this kind of stuff. Okay, so the ending of 1992 was really, really big for TV shows. So I mean, we still had really big popular series like Dragon Ball Z still going. We had the rest of Yu Yu Hakusho going. Sailor Moon was one of the biggest pivotal series in the 90s. Continuing on for this season, Tekkaman Blade. So the continuation of Tekkaman is going, and of course, Hime-chan's Ribbon is still going. So even though that we can work with Miracle Girls, again, Daisuke continued working on with the story for with Hime-chan. Again, if you're interested in magical girl shows, go back to those episodes, and you can go back and see what happened in 1992, and get the full thing on this one, all right? But we go past all that because these are all continuing shows, and we go to the OAVAs. Okay, so now we move through the OVAs. Now, there's one thing I think you'll start really noticing now, and you probably already noticed it since '92, but I just wanted to reiterate it, is that you're starting to notice that almost every single type of OVA that comes out is getting licensed and it's getting an English version. I mean, for the most part, okay. I mean, if you compare it to something like when I was doing the just countdown for, let's say, 1984, for example, or the OAVAs, that kind of stuff. Very, very few, right? 1, 2, maybe up to 5. You can probably count on one hand, okay? How many OAVAs that, actually had any sort of interest whatsoever. Whereas now, it's like almost every single one, minus maybe 5, right? Like every single OVA is getting licensed, it's getting an English translation and all that. So, I'm just going to look at the first line here. This is just a good indication, right? I've already mentioned that Bastard and Tenchi Muyo was already big hits of that. I mean, Tenchi Muyo was probably one of the biggest things that the Pioneers put out, right? And of course, we have Oh My Goddess being the first one. Again, like super big for Amiego when they got that one, right? Because such a nice series. A lot of people really related to it. It really dug into that to that you know that guy mentality, lonely guy sort of thing. It really dug into that lonely guy mentality that probably very common with otakus right now. So it really resonated, I'm sure, with a lot of fans at that time. So it was perfect, right? And as I said, these are only just like the newest three that came out this month. As I continue down the list, you will probably find out the same sort of thing. You'll say, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing that one, and that one got licensed, and that one got licensed, and that one got licensed." You will see the same trend, and that is because this is really this anime thing, and because of it here in North America is really starting to kick off, and corporate eyes are starting to focus on Japan and realize, okay, hey, this is a really this is a real thing, you know. People are actually licensing this thing. This actually has potential to make money. Let's see what else they got coming out. And again, they're looking at all these new OVAs. And sure, it may take them 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 7 years for some of these OVAs to come out. But they need to get off their butt and start licensing things. So again, this is why you'll notice from now on we'll have a greater number of OVAs. And when I put this on a graph chart, you'll probably see the significant you know upward swing. But we'll wait until that episode when we finish the episode 90s, and you can have a look at that. Okay, so we continue on, and again we have let's say more episodes of the Giant Robo, which is that was one of the more of these kids with giant robot shows here, but definitely this is one of the better ones. So definitely that was good. Some more episodes of that one, and of course I just flipped to the end there. We have also more episodes of Wushir and Tora. Again, if you want to go back to the episode, previous episode, just see that the series is continuing on those. So those are both good. The new one, of course, is Dragon Half. Now this is another release. I mean, at this time, these shows are really few things with elves and dragon girls and that kind of stuff. The artwork wasn't actually really that well done, but the theme was nice, and it's cute enough of an anime. So the A Division really made good work on this one. They picked this one up early, and it was pretty popular because it satisfied that sort of niche of the shall we say in this case it was like dragon girls, right? Okay, moving on. More of the assault from Pioneer. So again, I said that there was this point ever since like Tenchi, right? Pioneer was just ripping it up. I mean, they were just putting up hit after hit. And so here's two more that they added onto their initial sort of first wave, if you will. So Tenchi Muyo. They've got now Mole Diver, which is I guess the girl hero with the very provocative transformation scene, very very important. So yeah, so they got that kind of thing, even though that is Pioneer, but they put that out. Kishin Haiden or Kishin Corpse, that one was really cool. I mean that one, the music was really nice on that one, and just the whole concept of that sort of Cold War sort of everyone has to get together to beat back the aliens and that kind of stuff, and just the weird technology that came in there. Like I always thought the Kishin train was really interesting. That came from the Germans, but it's just that was a different sort of angle on that kind of a thing, and it was really well done. Short series, only 7 episodes, so it's really really quick. But again, this is another example of how Pioneer was just dominating it. Next one is a thing called a Z Guy. This is another one of those sort of really unknown animes. The artwork was actually pretty good on it, I thought. And in terms of one another of these isekais where normal girl has to go into this other sort of world with monsters and other stuff, and he has to use power stuff to beat them away. So it's not that much different than a couple of different shows like Toden and Carol, that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess we're in that era of a lot of these Alice in Wonderland and through the Looking Glass type of themed shows where main lead girl goes somewhere else, maybe something fantasy like Oz type of thing, and does her thing in that other world, right? So this is that kind of theme. 2 episodes, very quick shot. Um, you know, uh, a quick watch. Yeah, don't think too much about it, and pretty good artwork and that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely for something that's probably like abandonware. That's one to check out. Okay, moving on. We have Vilgust. Now this one is got like Armored Dragon Vilgust. Now this is another 2 episode short little thing. It's based off of like an RPG kind of games, kind of playing type game thing. And of course the appeal of it is that all the characters are drawn like kids, like younger, shorter type of that type of thing. Regardless of what they actually class as, but what that's the sort of the way they're drawn. So you've got the elves and all the various different other type of characters, all drawn in sort of like a smaller SD kid form, right? But it's fun. It's got it's got comedy. It's got a little bit of just a little bit of extra spice to it here and there, and because that's what they usually do in a lot of RPG games, especially like Dragon Knight type of thing, right? That's the idea. Okay, to continue also the goofy around, like we have the next one, Kamen Rider SD, Kaku again. So for those people who are fans of the live action Kamen Rider kind of thing, here is now the sort of super deformed version of the thing. So again, no one really followed that kind of stuff. I mean, even I know there are people who were interested in the Rangers type of thing and whatnot. That's fine, but when it got to the SD stuff, I find that a lot of people were just weren't into the nuances and that kind of stuff. At least not enough to at least get it subtitled and get it translated. So again, this one was sort of relatively ignored. And the last one is Al Carol. Okay, now this one obviously again no one knew what the hell this thing was. No one cared about it. It was pretty much forgotten. But if you look at it, the first thing I saw was that I recognized the picture, but I can't quite place it. And then looking at the credits, it's the same person who does Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Okay, um, the character, or sorry, the original artwork, design and that kind of stuff is done by Katsumi Michihara. Okay, and yeah, that is the person who does Legend of Galactic Heroes. Um, she did that Joker like sort of OVA. Okay, so again, so if you're interested in at least fairly that kind of artwork and that kind of stuff, that is it's not something you might want to check out. Again, one shot movie type of thing, and one kind of thing, quick watch, right? Kind of reminds me of a Star Trek episode gone wrong, but this is what happens when you run into new races. You get different things happening, and the crew of the ship has to figure out what to do with it. But anyway, so again, another sort of forgotten anime, just because I think accessibility is probably a little bit of a problem. And again, even at this time, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, even though fairly popular and name wise, it was a big thing to tackle, right? The translation wise and character wise and that kind of stuff. Even just getting episodes of it was tough, right? So even though it had such a good name behind it, it was still pretty much unknown. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. The big title here is Ambassador Magma. Okay, so now this one again, at the time when it came out, nobody really knew about it. Because I mean, think look at all the good OVAs that are out there. Oh my God, this bastard, Tenchi Muyo, all that kind of stuff. So really, big titles, right? So this is one of those titles that kind of like, well, no one knows what it, kind of goes by the wayside, and it kind of then was sort of ignored until, of course, they finally, some U.S. company decide to license it and do something with it, right? Because it definitely does have that. If you look at the thing, it's made by Tetsuga Studios, okay, i.e. Astro Boy guy, Osamu Tezuka. So definitely has good name and that kind of stuff on it, and the storyline is pretty much oh no, the Earth is getting invaded again, and yeah, we got this thing that we can go against it, i.e. let's say Astro Boy with long hair, but it's essentially that kind of idea, right? So for a short kind of 4 episode OVA, one of these overlooked OVAs that the thing. It's a quick watch, right? And again, if you're interested in that, his style and that kind of storyline, it's sort of that, basically it's kind of like Astro Boy, revisited again. Okay, moving on, we go to no other significant. Okay, so there are no other significant OVAs left, except for just one little point I was making on this one here: the Secret of Moldiver. So again, Pioneer just released Moldiver, but just before they did, they released this sort of mini, sort of the making of the information about Moldiver, so as a short little kind of OVA clip, right? So one episode, 11 minutes long, and the way that this is basically, if you can think of a good example of this would be episode 13 for Double Zeta Gundam. A lot of shows do this, but I mean, I'll just pick Double Zeta Gundam as the example. But what they did is that as the new episode of the new season for Double Zeta Gundam, what they did is they used the first 11 minutes, which is from the beginning of the series, from the beginning of the show to the commercial break in the middle. They basically used those 11 minutes to summarize everything from episodes 1 through to 12, really quickly. All the events that sort of happened as a recap, right? Again, for those people who I guess turned in the middle of the series and want to know what's going on before they continue with the next part, right? And then basically the second part would be, after the commercial break, they come back and they will then, continue the story as of new. So really, you're only getting like a half of a new episode, and you get like a half an episode of recap. So in this case of this, a lot of shows do this, in the anticipation that they're going to make a TV series, if they're going to make a TV series type of thing, right? They'll have these type of, sort of, let's explain everything so you don't fall behind and kind of, get lost in the stuff. So here they made a 11-minute segment for Moldiver, probably explaining the Mac, the character designs, and maybe some character voice information and all that kind of stuff and whatnot, and kind of put it all together into this one sort of thing, and put it out separately so that if you kind of like, if you get interested in it, this is your information. Now again, not everything makes this kind of stuff. Usually things that are kind of on the borderline and kind of we don't know if this is going to work or not. This is something that's really easy to put together. So that's the one I'll make a note of, and that will finish off all the OVAs. We will now go on to the movies. All right, so we scroll ahead to where the movies are, and again, the big blockbuster movie for the winter is going to be the 8th Dragon Ball movie. So this got released as the Brawly movie for us in North America. And again, some people were really interested in this, is because now you get to think, Dragon Ball was all all finished now, and now we're sort of really getting hyped up into the middle of the Dragon Ball Z series. And so they've been releasing a bunch of movies up to now, which is increasing difficulty, more science and that kind of stuff and whatnot. And so this is really building up a lot of this this power level and that kind of stuff. So a lot of people are really getting into this, and not to include that, don't forget, more people are getting into the anime because of U.S. companies sort of getting into this. And of course, Dragon Ball's still not out yet, but people are starting to know about this, right? And so this is a really big significant one. The other one that's sort of significant obviously is the the Doraemon one. But again, over here in North America, no one cares about Doraemon. No one translated anything. No one's really trading it. It was sort of a big thing in Hong Kong and in Asian countries, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty well much ignorable. We continue on down the list here. We got the Kido Shinshi SD Gundam Matsuri. So basically the spring festival for Gundam using super deformed Gundam. So again, this is okay. So they went through all the Gundam Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam, the Charge Counterattack. Okay, so they've gone through all the regular Gundam franchises in super deformed, goofing around mode. And then they started making, the samurai, sort of medieval Musha Gundam kind of stuff. And so this is another one of these sort of, Spring Festival Matsuri. Let's take all these Gundams and make them into these, cute sort of SD form, doing weird summer, events. So this is a total another sort of level of diversion. Again, a lot of people at this time didn't get it, so a lot of the jokes went over her head. No one really wanted to bother translating it, and so that's why a lot of all the cultural references and all this stuff just got ignored on this particular type of series of Gundam. So really, the popularity only was in the first bunch of SD Gundams, and after that, it just sort of what the hell. Sangoshi, so Legend of the Three Kingdoms, based off the Chinese games and a novel series for that. This I saw this on a couple of different lists and that kind of stuff. They usually rate it as Legend of the Three Kingdoms and that kind of stuff. And it was sort of a little again a little hard to understand. The artwork was wasn't all that great, but it was better than most of the sort of like these Chinese animated sort of things at the time. And so cultural things tended not to be that popular. But again, failing translation and failing there was a little bit of distribution for it, so some people sort of knew what it was. But again, I think this is one of these titles that sort of, since there's so much other better stuff like Tenchi Muyo and let's say Kishin Chorus and Bastard and that kind of stuff, there's so much attention to that, and of course all those new TV shows coming up, Sailor Moon, Captain Tyler, Himi-chan's Ribbon, all that stuff is all coming out. These OAVA and movie titles really, really fall by the wayside, and just people just sort of like, well, what is this? Oh, well, I got more important stuff to watch. So they, these movies get really sort of avoided and kind of dropped and forgotten, really. Okay, so that takes care of all the movies. Now we go on to the last little thing, which is the sort of specials. And this particular special, number 2, is came over under the title "The History of Trunks." So these are like OVAs again, but because they're sort of shoved in betweens, because like usually what they do for Dragon Ball is they have movies, right? And they release the Brawly movie, but also on separate tape or sometimes they even telecast, but most likely they usually release it on a tape or something separately, is a side story. So in this case, it's the kind of since they're not going to cover it in the actual series of how how Trunks came about. Here's something that will kind of fill in the gap and go over that story. Okay. And as I said, they've done this in the last year as well too. So if you want to go back to that episode and take a look at what they did as for special number 1, you can go into that. If I remember right, they did more of the special Saiyan guys that came in. That was sort of a kind of an in between back there. So again, check that out in 1992. But in '93, they released a special episode for Trunks. Okay. So yeah, so that takes care of the first season of 1993. So you can see it's kind of a little bit long episode, obviously, because we had to go through so much OVAs and that kind of stuff. But you can see that as we could continue going on to 94, 95, and 96 and that kind of stuff with more OVAs and more things are being picked up by commercial companies. I'll have to make these longer and get into it. So again, don't forget to go down below and hit subscribe to make sure you get onto those. All right, hope you found that really interesting. And again, we'll help you getting into more episodes as we go through the whole entire decade of the 1990s. All right? So, until next time, I will see you again.